Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be showcasing a very powerful Open Grade League team that helped current Seniors Division World Champion High-ELO reach #1 on the Go Battle League leaderboards with an ELO of 34-12. Now the team consists of a Registeel lead with Medicham and Shadow Charizard in the back, so it follows a pretty standard structure of running Shadow Charizard as the sweeper and the two bulky Pokemon that can hopefully generate a shield advantage. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out some battles using the team from High-ELO. Hopping into the first match, and we see a Core Breaker on the lead, Registeel into Shadow Swampert. This team is ABA weak to Swampert, but the nice thing here is that Registeel will outpace the Swampert by one single turn and make it to the Focus Blast before they make the Earthquake. So I've gotten shield advantage, which is the goal, and now I'm perfectly fine with letting the Registeel go. My opponent is just going to go for the Hydro Cannon, they're going to look to farm up, and then they're going to go for another Hydro. Again, I'm not going to shield. The goal of this team is to get shield advantage for the Shadow Charizard. Now I can send in Medicham to absorb the energy from the Shadow Swampert. Swampert is going to be firing off a charge move. They go for the Hydro Cannon. Medicham makes the Ice Punch. This will not KO, but it will get that Swampert quite low. Swampert double shields, and now things are looking incredibly good for a potential Shadow Charizard sweep, as Charizard in the 2-0s basically beats everything in the Great League. In comes the Charizard. Swampert is going to fire off the Hydro, and I'm going to commit the shield. Let's see what they have. Opponent sends in a Registeel, and this is looking like a Shadow Charizard sweep. I overfarm, go for the Blast Burn, one-shot the Registeel in the back. It's Galarian Stunfisk, and this is going to be a 1v3 for Shadow Charizard. Blast Burn, one-shots the G-Fisk, farms down the Swampert, and that's a good game. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Registeel into Noctowl. Opponent save switches into Sableye, and my backline doesn't really enjoy a Sableye with a shield advantage, so I'm just going to stay in here with the Registeel. Registeel does pretty well into Sableye. Zap Cannon, of course, does not one-shot, but it does a lot of damage onto the Sableye. Zap Cannon will be no-shielded, and I get that ever-important attack drop. They're farming up, they're going to fire off another Foul Play. I'm going to be able to tank this though, which is quite nice, and I can fire off this Focus Blast. Focus Blast will be lethal. Opponent needs to decide, do they want to make a play for Switch? The answer is yes, they will make a play for Switch. Sableye looking for the move, they get the farm down, leaving with quite a lot of energy. They are debuffed. I'm going to send in the Medicham here because Medicham can tank whatever they throw. They only get to one charge move. They go for the Foul Play. That does not do a lot. Now they send in Jellicent. Jellicent going to be a bit awkward here. Unfortunately, my timing was really not good in that moment as I give them an entire Hex for free. A little bit of inconsistent visuals. From here, I'm just going to call the Surf, and I'm saving my shields for Charizard. They full send the Shadow Ball. In comes the Shadow Charizard. I'm met with a Surf right away, so I'm using my first shield. I need to watch for the potential switch out here. Opponent farms up, they send in Noctowl. I continue to farm. Noctowl makes the Sky Attack. I'm going to commit the shield. I need to try and go for an undercharge to win this game. So I'm going to farm up to the Blast Burn, and I'm going to go for a Great and miss some bubbles. This will put the Noctowl into perfect farm down range for the Charizard, and that will secure the victory, as I now have the back-to-back Dragon Claws. They shield the first, but Charizard wins the CMP tie on that second move. Dragon Claw KOs the Jellicent, and that's a good game. We've got mirror leads in the next game, Registeel versus Registeel. I'm going to farm up to the Focus Blast, save switch into the Medicham, and I actually get the catch on the Focus Blast. My thinking here is, if they're running Registeel on the lead, they probably have a pretty decent check to Medicham, so I may as well waste their Regi's energy and see what they have. They're going to rebank the move on the Registeel, and now they're going to send in their own Medicham. I'm going to fire off the Psychic. That deals some solid chip damage. It looks like it will be a CMP tie to the next Psychic. Unfortunately, I do not win. Psychic will be lethal. I do have a move on Registeel, but instead, I would much rather get farm on Charizard. There's 6 off the Ice Punch here, so I can bring in the Charizard, throw 6 swing attacks, switch into the Registeel, and this way I get a massive energy head start on the Charizard without conceding a shield. I'm going to get the full lock on down. Do they send back in their Regi? They do not. They bring in a Sableye. So the opponent anticipated I was trying to bait out the Sableye. They saved it, but unfortunately, this is an ABC style team. So they were saving it for potentially a second Psychic type in the back that I do not have. Zap Cannon will be shielded by the Sableye. The attack debuff comes through as well, and this means that a foul play is not going to be enough to KO here. Foul play is going to connect. Ready Steel trying to make it to the charge move and makes it to the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon, of course, will be lethal. We see a shield. Opponent switches into their Reggie, and I'm going to respond with the Charizard. Charizard will shield up. They go for the Zap Cannon. I'm just going to look to farm up to the back-to-back Blast Burns here because I know that Shadow Charizard is going to win CMP over the Sableye. I'm more than happy to double shield in this situation because that just guarantees the win. I have the Blast Burn for the Charizard. They can bring in the Sableye, but Charizard with its high attack stat, winning CMP, KOing the Sableye, and securing the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match. Ready Steel into Noctowl. Opponent is going to throw one wing attack and save switch into Medicham. I don't really want to send in my Charizard down energy, so instead, I'm just going to go for a Zap Cannon here. Zap Cannon does a lot of damage, and now I'm going to bring in my own Medicham. They got debuffed, so their Psychics are really not going to do a lot of damage here, and I can use this as an opportunity to get some energy on my own Medi. Now here, I do make a bit of a misplay. What I should have done was just taken a second Psychic, over-farmed, and tried to lead with energy, so that way I could potentially get some damage back onto the Noctowl. Whereas now, the Noctowl is going to be able to outpace by 2 turns since they threw the one wing attack to start, and the Sky attack will be lethal. I'm going to wait the timer. Since I did throw a charge move, our clocks are slightly misaligned, so I can send back in the Registeel. My opponent staying in this matchup here. I farm up. I go for the Zap Cannon. It looks like they may have caught. What did they catch on? They catch on a Shadow Quagsire, and again, I get the attack drop. I'm farming up. I'm full sending here. I think it's just outside of Dragon Claw range, so I'm full sending the Blast Burn. Opponent is going to commit the shield, and I have a difficult decision to make. They're probably baiting. I shield. They actually don't bait, which is a bit surprising. I'm just looking for the full farm down now with the Charizard, as Charizard will get to leave with so much energy here, and that's going to put a lot of pressure onto the Noctowl. I'm full sending the Blast Burn here. Their choice is let the Blast Burn go or the Zap Cannon. They let the Blast Burn go, but that's still almost one-shots. They go for the Shadow Ball. We live on 1 HP, simultaneous KO, but we have Registeel alive in the back. Picking up a pretty nice lead, Registeel into Alolan Sandslash. This is not the Shadow variant, which is definitely good news for me, as that means the Drill Run and Shadow Claw pressure is going to be a lot less than with the Shadow. They're going to be firing off the Drill Run. I'm returning fire with a Zap Cannon bait. I'm able to get the shield. I'm farming up with the Registeel. I'm expecting they have a decent counter to the Medicham, so I figure I may as well switch it in and just try and get whatever value that I can. They actually throw a Drill Run, and now we do see the Medicham counter as my opponent sends in Frostlass. Frostlass is at an energy disadvantage here. I make the Psychic, and Psychic is definitely going to add up. They're going to fire off the Avalanche here, as this is Avalanche range now on the Medicham, and now I'm going to send in Shadow Charizard. My switch clock is up, so I cannot catch the Avalanche, but I'm just going to go for the one shield farm down, so this way I get to leave with an energy head start. And this will be quite nice. The Sandslash does have energy here. I should be able to outpace, and I believe I accidentally overfarm a bit too much here. I should have forced CMP there, as that's just the more principled play, but unfortunately, I end up overfarming a bit too much. Here, I'm going to farm up to the back-to-back Blast Burns, and from here, they can't shield. Because I have the back-to-back, they just have to let it go, and now we'll see what they have in the back. They have Dunsparce, and I should be in an okay situation here. Shadow Blast Burn hits incredibly hard. I'm going to go for the catch onto the Registeel. I'm farming up, make it to the Focus Blast, but I accidentally overtap, play to a CMP that I do not win, and that costs me the game. Incredibly frustrating end of the game there. It was a winnable game, but unfortunately, a couple misplays, and the win slips away. We see a great lead in the next match, Registeel into Jellicent, and the Jellicent is staying in this matchup. So the opponent does not have a strong response to a Registeel lead, and that's very good news for me. Opponent will go for the Surf. I'm not really planning on shielding in this matchup. I'm just going to throw 2 lock-ons and then go for the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon deals massive damage, and we get another attack drop. They're going to fire off the Shadow Ball here. I can tank this pretty comfortably, especially now that I've gotten the debuff. Opponent gives up Switch, and they send in Dubwool. I could have immediately brought in Medicham, but I figured I'd go for the Zap Cannon to try and grab a shield before I do. Unfortunately, no debuff this time, but Medicham should do quite well here, even more so with a shield advantage. They're actually running Wild Charge on the Dubwool. Wild Charge will definitely add up. It does, of course, come with a cost of dramatically lowering their defense, so I will get the counter down. I leave with energy. We'll have to see what is that final Pokemon. Their Jellicent is very low on health, but they can save it for a catch. In the back, it's a Charizard, and this energy is going to hurt. Psychic deals big damage onto the Charizard. I make it to the Ice Punch. Very nice catch by my opponent. I'm still in the driver's seat of this match, but very nice catch by my opponent as they attempt to play out of a very difficult team comp for them. From here, I can very comfortably shield once, and Charizard will get the full wing attack down after a bit of lag of the opposing Charizard. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Registeel into Chesnaught. Immediate save switch into Medicham. Chesnaught staying in this matchup. Opponent banks the Frenzy Plant, goes for the Ice Punch catch, but I'm able to hang on to my energy, and now I get to land a Psychic onto the Ninetales that counter switches. They will make it to the Dazzling Gleam. I'm going to commit the shield here. I am a little worried about a bait, but I shield at the last second, and it's the Gleam. I don't want them to make it to a Weather Ball, so I elect to go for the Ice Punch. The reason being is that since they don't get to land a Weather Ball, I'm not in Frenzy Plant range here from the Chesnaught, which means I can make it to the Psychic. They need more Vine Whips before they can KO with the Frenzy Plant, and I can get my shield back. That's quite good news for me. I've now taken in a Vine Whips where a Frenzy Plant should be lethal, so I'm just going to let this go. And now I can bring in the Charizard and its Lantern in the back. And flipping switch advantage was absolutely imperative in this game. Lantern is going to go for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, of course, the harder hitting move. But the nice thing is, Registeel can tank it pretty well. I'm now going for the Zap Cannon. I've had some decent Zap Cannon luck so far, and it continues. We get that 66% chance attack debuff. They're firing off another charge move from the Lantern. With the debuff, they're going to need a Thunderbolt and a Surf, and I'm firing off the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon is going to be no-shielded. Opponent trying to finish the game with Chesnaught, but that's a tough ask as my switch timer comes up, and I have the game won. I can just shield the first move here. They go for the superpower, and the wing attack KOs the Chesnaught. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Registeel into Shadow Swampert. As I mentioned at the beginning, Swampert is a core breaker for this team, but the nice thing about Registeel is that you reach the Focus Blast one turn before they make the Earthquake, so you can typically force a shield advantage out of this matchup. And that's the goal, is just force the shield advantage, let the Registeel go, and then trust in the fact that Charizard up a shield can do very well. They're firing off another Hydro Cannon. Opponent does a very nice job of over-farming there, so they leave with a ton of energy, and I now send in the Medicham. Medicham farming up to the Ice Punch. I tank any one move here, even if it is the Earthquake. Opponent full sends the Earthquake, and that's gonna hurt. Getting the Medicham low. Medicham able to hang on, fire off the Ice Punch. That's gonna get them low. Opponent is gonna pivot, and they send in Noctowl. With the energy head start, Noctowl is going to be able to outpace and fire off the Sky Attack. I'm going to commit the shield, and now I can farm up with the Charizard and go for the Blast Burn on the CMP tie. This is going to be lethal. Opponent lets it through. Noctowl gets KO'd. What do they have in the back? Opponent waiting their timer here. They send in Altaria, and unfortunately, that is not something I'm going to be able to beat here. I can make 2 Dragon Claws, but Altaria still has the shield up, and Medicham just does not have enough HP to win this game. I send in the Medicham here. We're getting farmed down. Opponent sends in the Swampert, and I just can't counter down. And Altaria will secure the win. And hopping into the final match, we've got some spice from the opponent as we lead Registeel into Whimsicott. Now, Whimsicott, of course, is going to be resisting both Zap Cannon and Focus Blast. But the nice thing here is that Registeel is resisting Whimsicott's moves as well. There, I was slightly inaccurate with my timing as I do let an entire Fairy Wind for free. Ideally, you want to try and throw 1 lock on and the move, so that way you're throwing in the middle of their Fairy Wind. They go for the Moonblast, and as you're going to see here, I farm up, and this time, I'm actually able to get that timing correct. So I'm able to throw in the middle of that fast move. They shield the Whimsicott. Opponent now sends in Jirachi. Opponent running some incredibly cool spice. I could have brought in the Charizard, but Confusions would tear it to shreds. So I'm just going to stay in here with the Reggie. I get the attack debuff as well. Therefore, to fire off a charge move. And I'm just going to let this go and just send in the Medicham. As counter will hit for neutral onto the Steel and Psychic typing. they're going to make it to the Doom Desire. This is not enough for a Dazzling Gleam, so I can tank the Doom Desire and leave with energy. In comes Whimsicott, and I'm firing off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to KO. In the back, they have Drapion, and I immediately switch into the Shadow Charizard. But then I realize if they have Aqua Tail, I might actually be in a bit of an awkward situation here, and they do. I think I have to bait to win. I go up, and I win CMP with the Dragon Claw bait, and it's shielded, and that's the game here. As you're going to see, they're going to be 3 off the next Aqua Tail, and I am 3 off of the Blast Burn, and Shadow Charizard just will not stop winning CMP. Hello, Drapion. Goodbye, Drapion. And that is a good game. All in all, I do think the Shadow Charizard plus double tank is a really viable strategy at the moment. Shadow Charizard of energy is just absurdly strong into just about anything you can encounter in this meta. So being able to use 2 tanks, whether it's, let's say, something like Umbreon, Cresselia, using, in this case, Medicham and Registeel, and just trying to save shields for that Shadow Charizard can be a really fun strategy. So that way you're not necessarily playing as much for alignment as you are playing for energy and shields. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.